with the Yankees signing Tim Hill to a 1-year, $2.6 million deal with an option for 2026. Outside of some minor deals, this seems like it completes the Yankees bullpen for 2025. And my question is, does it stack up with the rest of the league? What's going on, guys? The King of 161st Street. I'm back with another video, and I believe the Yankees have one of the best pitching staffs in all of Major League Baseball. But before I go through the different teams, let me introduce you to the Yankees pitching staff for 2025. The Yankees ace is obviously Gerrit Cole. Gerrit Cole, when he's healthy, is a top 5 pitcher in baseball. We could go back to the last time he had a fully healthy season and he won an American League Cy Young. That's the type of guy I want leading the charge for my pitching staff. In the number 2, the highest paid lefty starting pitcher of all time, Max Fried, formerly of the Atlanta Braves, now a New York Yankee, one of the most consistent young arms that this league has. He will be a force, and he will become everything that the Yankees expected out of the number 3 guy on this list. Max Fried will bring depth to this starting rotation. It will bring a 1B to what is Gerrit Cole's 1A. This was a great signing. Was it a bit of an overpay? Sure. To get a talent like this in the market today, you had to overpay a little bit. Max Fried is going to do big things in pinstripes this year, and I'm hoping the same for the number 3 guy in the rotation, Carlos Rodon. Look, when Carlos Rodon is on, he looks like he could win an American League Cy Young on any given night. He has the talent to do it. It's all up here. Everything with Carlos Rodon comes from his head. Does he and Austin Wells work together to get the perfect pitch mix that he can then execute off of? If you look at the first couple innings in the ALDS against the Royals, that's prime Carlos Rodon right there. He's able to use his slider effectively. His fastball up in the zone has life. It's once he starts overusing that fastball is where he gets himself into trouble. But this year, he's going to have different guys that are going to be around him. Guys like Max Fried that can help him. He just needs to get out of his own way in order to become a perennial force, to where he can actually become what the Yankees expected of him back in 2023. What he was back in San Francisco, what he was in Chicago. I have a feeling we are going to see the best of Carlos Rodon now that the pressure of piggybacking off of Gerrit Cole is now off of him. Now he has 2 guys he can piggyback off. Just like Juan Soto helped Aaron Judge last year, I believe Max Fried and Gerrit Cole are going to seriously help Carlos Rodon reach his maximum potential for this year. In the number 4 slot, it's the AL Rookie of the Year in 2024, Luis Gil. Luis Gil has probably the most talent out of anyone in that starting rotation. He can give you a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, one of the best changeups I've seen in quite a while. And his slider started to look really effective come towards the end of the season. Luis Gil, there were talks about him possibly moving to the bullpen. And for the playoffs, I was not against it. But Luis Gil is a bona fide stud. If he continues to develop, continues to work on his command, doesn't walk as many people this year, this is the type of talent that wins Cy Young Award. This is the type of talent that gets to the top of what this league has to offer. I don't want to say it right now because that's putting too much pressure. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. But the highest offering this league has, that's what Luis Gil's talent has the ability to do. It's really just bringing it all together and maintaining control. I'm happy that his rookie season, he was able to go through most of it without many long-term injuries. He was able to get through most of the season. Now he has that under his belt. Let's see what year 2 has to offer, where now his body's used to pitching for 162, or at least close to it. His body's used to pitching end of March to the end of September. That's going to be a huge benefit for a guy who had lack of experience last year. And then at the number 5 slot in the starting rotation, you have Clark Schmidt. Clark Schmidt is Mr. Consistency. You know what you're going to get from him day in and day out. Does he have anything particularly special? No. Last year proved to me that he is a real starter in this league, and he could become one of the most steady forces this rotation has to offer. He may not give you the complete game shutouts on a nightly basis. You know when Clark Schmidt's stepping out there that you're most likely getting a quality start or a quality start adjacent. There's times where he can't really finish the 5th inning. That's where he has to work. Towards the end of the season, he started to get deeper and deeper into games. He'll give up a couple runs here and there, but as long as he keeps the Yankees in the game as a number 5 starter, what the Yankees need. And then if any of those guys go down, you always have Marcus Stroman until he gets traded, if he even does get traded. In the first half of last year, gave a close to a 3 ERA. In short spurt, Marcus Stroman could give you class. He could give you great baseball. He may be at that age where he cannot sustain for a full season of pitching. When you're in a squeeze and a guy like Carlos Rodon goes down or something like that happens, you have Marcus Stroman there where in a squeeze, he could give you quality over long stretches of time. That rotation right there, I could put that up against anyone. And I know what everyone's going to say, Los Angeles. And yes, they do have depth, but let's look at some of these guys that they have. Tyler Glasnow, he's made of glass. This guy cannot stay healthy to save his goddamn life. Are we actually going to project that he is going to be able to play a full 162 this year? I'm hoping that he can, because I'm never rooting for someone to get hurt. But at some point, you have to look at the writing on the wall. And it's almost like with the Brian Cashman quote, you just have to kind of play to the fact that you know he's going to get hurt at some point. So Glasnow's out. Yes, you're going to have Shohei. And Shohei, amazing player as a whole. But as a starter, he's basically middle of the pack. You have Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who last year did not light the world on fire. I'm expecting a leap this year. How much of a leap? I have no clue. He's really the biggest wild card outside of Roki Sasaki in that rotation. And then you get to Roki Sasaki where he's young. He only has 2 pitches, and one of those pitches is getting smoked. How does he adjust? How does he fix his fastball command? How does he get a 3rd pitch to actually be effective? How does he adjust to the bigger baseball? He is a very big wait and see candidate. And then I almost forgot the recent signing of Blake Snell, who, yes, is a Cy Young candidate, and he's going to be nasty. So yeah, look, for depth, it probably goes to the Dodgers. But on any given night, I'm picking Cole against any of those guys. I'm picking Fried against any of those guys. Hell, I'll even say this. Call me a homer if you want. I'm picking Heel on any given night over any of the Dodgers starters. Do I think he wins 10 times out of 10? No. But I'm confident giving Luis Gil the ball on any given night against the Los Angeles Dodgers. So the Yankees, to me, do stack up in that way. Now, the Dodgers did work on their bullpen, but so did the Yankees. So let's introduce you to the Yankees bullpen, starting off with the closer, Devin Williams. Devin Williams is up there as one of the best closers in the entire league. This man has magic in his hand. They call him the airbender for a reason. His changeup moves in ways that shouldn't be possible with gravity. Bringing that to the Bronx and bringing that to Matt Blake specifically seems like a match made in heaven. His regular season is money. No matter what, we can rely on Devin Williams, barring health, to give you a stellar regular season. Yes, he's had some blips in the postseason, but he really hasn't had the experience to really suggest that he's a playoff choker. When it's only like 2 or 3 appearances, that's not a big enough sample size. So we're really going to have to wait and see on the postseason aspect of it. But Devin Williams, for sure, is going to be a huge part of the Yankees' success this year, along with his running mate, the new setup guy, former closer, Luke Weaver. Luke Weaver, what a comeback he has had in his career, going from journeyman starter to a pivotal closer in a playoff series for a World Series contending New York Yankees team in 2024. Luke Weaver has all the abilities to be the closer of this team. He has the fastball. He has the secondary pitches. He has the ability to stay calm in some of the biggest moments. The only problem with that is that there's a guy named Devin Williams, is one of the best closers we've ever seen. If it wasn't for Devin Williams, Luke Weaver would be the closer. But as a setup man, this has the ability to be something along the lines of David Robertson going into Mariano Rivera. I'm not comparing anyone to Mariano, but that 1-2 punch of having a Robertson with a dominant closer like Mo, that's a type of effect that Luke Weaver and Devin Williams could have on the 2025 Yankees. It's to the point where if you have a lead in the 7th inning, I'm confident we're winning that game. But let's move on to the guys who are before the 8th and 9th inning. We have newly traded for Fernando Cruz. Now, if you looked at his stats and just looked at a baseball reference page, you're gonna see some stats that look pretty bad. But what Fernando Cruz has is one of the nastiest pitches in all of Major League Baseball with his splitter. His splitter is so nasty that it's basically a consensus. It's a top 3 pitch in baseball. And bringing that to a guy like Matt Blake, who has fixed relievers in the past, been able to get value out of guys like Michael Tonkin, Luke Weaver, Clay Holmes. This is a guy who has a major ability to come in and absolutely dominate through the 5th and 6th inning. Even if it's the 6th and 7th inning, he is able to give you quality innings with one of the nastiest pitches in baseball. And all of that, and I still haven't gotten to one of the biggest signings the Yankees have had this offseason, re-signing Tim Hill. Tim Hill, the sidearm release, nothing about him really comes out as startling to a batter. But what he is he's sneaky. He knows how to use his pitches well. And that's what I love about Tim Hill. That's why he should have been in the game in Game 1 instead of Nestor Cortez. If that situation were to arise, Tim Hill would come out of that fucking bullpen. And Tim Hill, after coming over from Chicago, where his stats with Chicago did not look good. Whose stats does look good against Chicago? When you're playing for a team like the Chicago fucking White Sox. If you play for one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball, you're probably not going to be motivated to come to the ballpark every day. That's been rumored to be one of the things that's keeping Luis Robert from reaching his maximum potential. But ever since he showed up in pinstripe, Tim Hill has been money. Jake Cousins, the same thing. Jake Cousins has been money. Ever since he's worn pinstripes, to be honest, Jake Cousins is just there as insurance. And anyone else that they add to this bullpen is there as basically a long reliever. The amount of depth in this bullpen, it may not be as star-studded as the Dodgers bullpen, where they have Kirby Yates and Tanner Scott. But if you put them head to head, I think they're pretty even. I think the Yankees bullpen can stack up against any bullpen in Major League Baseball. Maybe not the Guardians. The Guardians have probably the best bullpen. But if we're fighting for second, I believe we can stack up against pretty much anyone else. This pitching staff the Yankees have built is a huge part of the pivot from Juan Soto. Because Soto is no longer in pinstripes, the Yankees needed to find different ways to win other than just outscoring the opponent. They needed to say to themselves, we may need to start doing run prevention. And that's exactly what they did this offseason. Having one of the best starting rotations in the MLB and one of the top 5 bullpen you'll see in Major League Baseball. And the offense is not going to be too far behind, but the offense is going to look eerily similar with a bullpen and a starting rotation that is miles better than it was last year. So what do you guys think? Do you think the Yankees rotation can help lead them to a World Series championship? Do you think the offense still needs some work? Let me know down below. Like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new. I'm out of here. Take care and peace.